For most of his life, Michael Caine was praised for what the world could see: discipline, charm, professionalism, an almost stubborn ability to survive when others collapsed. But the most important force in his life was never on screen, never discussed in interviews, and never shared, not even with the people closest to him. It was a truth carried quietly by one woman, hidden for more than half a century, not out of shame, but out of love. Now, at 92, Michael Caine finally understands that his entire life was shaped by a secret he was never meant to know. And once you hear it, nothing about his endurance will ever look the same again. He did not grow up dreaming of stardom. He grew up learning how to endure. Born Maurice Joseph Micklewhite Jr. in a working-class corner of London, his earliest memories were not of opportunity, but of instability. Crowded rooms, constant worry, parents who worked themselves to exhaustion just to keep food on the table. His father hauled fish at Billingsgate Market and sometimes stole just so the family could eat. His mother, Ellen, cleaned houses and cooked for others, carrying a quiet strength that never asked to be seen. There was no safety net, only the understanding that life could turn cruel without warning. That lesson became brutally real during the war. Like thousands of children, Michael was evacuated from London and sent to live with strangers in the countryside. What was meant to protect him became a different kind of danger. The family that took him in beat him, humiliated him, and on weekends locked him in a cupboard from Friday to Monday with barely enough food to survive. He learned that silence was safer than protest, that endurance was sometimes the only defense. When his mother discovered the abuse, she confronted the woman and beat her so badly she nearly went to prison. Michael was taken home, but the damage never left him. After the war, their house had been destroyed in the Blitz. They lived for years in a small prefabricated home that became permanent by default. Privacy didn't exist, money was scarce, ambition felt almost inappropriate. Acting entered his life not as art, but as escape. His first performance ended with laughter for the wrong reason, his trousers unzipped on stage. He didn't resent it. Laughter meant attention. Attention meant possibility. Then came national service. In Korea, he witnessed violence that erased whatever innocence remained. Soon after, cerebral malaria nearly killed him. He was strapped to a bed, injected and observed, treated like an experiment. Half conscious, he promised himself that if he survived, he would never waste a single day. But surviving is not the same as succeeding. When he returned to England, no one was waiting for him. He spent years auditioning, failing, and scraping by. He drank heavily, sometimes a bottle of vodka a day, trying to silence the fear that this was all life would ever be. He married young, believing love required immediate commitment. The marriage failed, leaving behind guilt and regret. He washed dishes, fixed pipes, worked laundry jobs. Every role he lost reminded him how far he was from the life he wanted. Even when opportunity came, his Cockney accent marked him as unsuitable. Class prejudice followed him into every casting room. When he finally broke through with Zulu, he was nearly released because a studio executive decided he looked wrong on screen. Instead of breaking, he adapted. He studied people obsessively, their posture, their voices, their confidence. He learned how to perform authority even when the world denied him status. Then, one day, long after he had become a star, a journalist asked a casual question that shattered everything. Did he know about his half-brother David? There had always been 4 people in his family story: his parents, himself, and his brother Stanley. There was no space for another name, and yet there it was. For over 50 years, his mother had lived a second life in secret. Every week, she would say she was going shopping. She would leave for hours. No one questioned it. She wasn't shopping. She was visiting her firstborn son. David had been born before she met his father's Michael. From early childhood, he suffered from severe epilepsy and developmental disabilities. Doctors told her he would be a burden. Society told her to forget him. So, under unbearable pressure, she placed him in an institution where he would remain for the rest of his life. But she never abandoned him. Every week, through war, rationing, poverty, and exhaustion, Ellen traveled alone to see him. She told no one, not her husband, not her sons. She believed revealing the truth would destroy the family she was trying to protect. When Michael gently confronted her, she did not defend herself. She simply said she did not want her children to feel different. She did not want them to carry what she carried. In that moment, he understood everything. His discipline, his silence, his refusal to complain, his need to keep moving no matter the cost. He had not invented them. he had inherited them. By the early 1970s, Michael looked successful, but the old patterns returned. Long nights, endless parties, alcohol used not to celebrate but to escape. Then, one night, alone and half drunk, he saw a coffee commercial. The woman on screen felt different, calm, grounded. Her name was Shakira Box. He called her. She said no. He called again and again. Eventually, she agreed to meet him, not because she was impressed, but because she sensed a man exhausted by himself. She did not rescue him with ultimatums. She simply made it clear that chaos was not welcome in her life. For the first time, he wanted clarity more than escape. The drinking stopped, the parties ended, not because he was told to change, but because he finally had something he did not want to lose. When critics mocked his film choices, he didn't care. Work meant continuity. As long as he was working, he was alive. When he won his first Oscar, he wasn't there to accept it. He was filming a sequel many considered terrible. He later said he had seen the house it paid for, and it was wonderful. That wasn't arrogance, it was survival. Now, in pain and unable to move freely, retirement feels like erasure. But he finally understands the truth. His life was never driven by ambition, it was driven by imitation. He was following his mother's example. Carry the pain, protect the people you love, never stop moving. Work was never his escape, it was his inheritance. Do you think Michael Caine should have truly retired, or was continuing to work his way of honoring the woman who shaped him? Share your thoughts in the comments.